Hi, this is Jay with Jay Pryor Coaching and Consulting. Happy February. Thank you much for being part of our community. Some of you are new because you attended my Lean Inside event last month. And so I want to welcome you first to this community of people who are flexing their muscle and doing the work of personal transformation. And again, our definition of transformation is chipping away at everything that's not your highest best self. And especially through that practice of progress, not perfection, constant forgiveness, being kind to yourself, giving yourself grace, but also with this knowing, right? We have this knowing that we can create anything we want for ourselves in our lives. If we can speak it and we can think it and we can act it, we can be it, right? And so it's about finding out what is the neural pattern that's running about this area of your life. What's the predominant conversation you're having about this area of your life, changing that conversation and then getting in action. It's February, so this month I thought we might talk about relationships since it's Valentine's Day month. Here's a couple of things about relationships I thought might help. First of all, one of the tools that we use in this work constantly is what you focus on always gets bigger. So the first tip, step one, pay attention to where your focus is, especially in your relationships, right? It's so important that if you are focusing on all the things that your partner does that you hate, then guess what? That's just going to get bigger. If you're focusing on all the things that your partner does well, and you're really focusing on that, I promise that will expand. It is the law, and it's how it works. And we've practiced it enough to know that it always works. Like there isn't a time this doesn't work. It's the law. So what you focus on always expands. So in relationships, you have to make sure that what you're focusing on always gets bigger. The next thing is I want to invite you in relationships to really pay attention to what you're projecting onto your person, right? If you're in a relationship with anybody, your boss, your spouse, your mom and dad, anybody, as humans, what we do mostly is we project our own feelings on other people. We project our own thoughts on other people. We decide that they're thinking things that we're thinking and that they're feeling things that we're feeling, and we project those on. One of the things that I do is I have kind of a mantra, which a coach taught me back in the day about my relationship with Jessica, and that is that Jessica always has my back. And so I say that, like, if I start to get hijacked or start to have thoughts that she's, undermining me or, because we're all human, we can have those thoughts. They're just thoughts, though. They're not real. And so the reality is Jessica always has my back, right? She loves me very much. We have a very powerful, committed relationship. She always has my back. But I have to remember that when I start to get squirrely, and so do you. So to come up with a mantra or something like to keep you from projecting your feelings onto someone else and not taking their stuff personally, all that world, right? So step one, pay attention to your focus. Step two, do not project. Step three, I really think it's powerful to stay connected to doing this work, right? Stay connected to doing something, right, that keeps you sane and on a path of healthy personal development. Because nothing takes a relationship more than someone who can't manage themselves, right? I have seen so many relationships disintegrate from women who started doing this work and started to get powerful, and the men that they were dating or married to just couldn't keep up. Like they just didn't want to take themselves on. So part of being in a relationship and part of being in powerful relationships is being willing to look at yourself, pay attention to your impact, the impact you have on the world, and to stay connected to powerful personal development work that keeps you in alignment with you being powerful. So one of the ways I want to facilitate that is I've started Zoom calls this month, and I hope that you'll take advantage of this because, you can access me as a private coach, right? But it's a much higher price point, for example, than if you were going to be in my group. And my group is an intimate group, but it's also a much higher price point than the free podcast and the audio book that costs $7.99, right? So I wanted to find something that was accessible to people, that gave them access to coaching and could continue this work. So I created these Zoom calls. I'm going to hop on a Zoom call the third Tuesday of every month at 3 o'clock. I'm just going to do that. The third Tuesday of every month at 3 o'clock. I don't plan to reschedule those. If something, happens where I have a stage at Carnegie Hall or something, I'll be canceling it. But right now we're going to the third Tuesday of every month at 3 o'clock. It's a Zoom call. They cost $39.99 a month. I mean, come on, $39.99 a month, or you can buy 3 of them, sign up for 3 months of coaching for $30. right? 3 of them for $90. So for $30 a month, you could have something that connects you in, that keeps you accessing and flexing your muscle in this work. You got to have something. Here's what happens when I don't do my work. I go unconscious. When you don't do the work, you go unconscious, right? And so having access to a level, any kind of level of flexing your muscle, getting coaching, staying present to these principles, and getting better and better and faster at being able to reframe things and not take things personally. I mean, that is the work, right? And so I'm so inspired by this idea and by this access that everyone can have. I'm out to transform the planet, and my book is being listened to all over the world now, so I feel like let's do this thing. Let's get everybody involved that we can. So again, I just want to thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for being people who are doing this work. Thank you for wanting to show up powerfully in your life. Thank you for being somebody who comes from love, because that's this work. We're coming from love. We're giving ourselves grace. We're being kind to ourselves and to each other. And that makes a huge difference. Coming from love and joy and all those things is radical right now. You really got to get this. This is radical. This is radical transformation. So thank you for being a part of it. It's a big deal. I sure appreciate you. Have a great month.